And we are live. We'll be doing a collaboration with the OG of the YouTube boxing community, Boxing Wave. Looking forward to it. Just until he joins, I'll be stalling it out for now. We have Boxing Wave that will be joining us in very few. Got a lot of topics that I do plan on talking about. Tyson Fury, Adrian Broner, Teofimo Lopez, Xander Zayas, some more upcoming fights, AJ Usyk. Just a vast majority of topics. I'm looking forward to it. Today was my first day back in school, so I'm a little tired. Not from the work, but just from waking up early. So I'm glad that we are finally doing another collab, and more collabs will be coming soon. Rolling with the punches in the chat. Salute, brother. Good seeing you here, man. Glad you're here, bro. And yeah, man. Just waiting for him to join. Until then, we got AJ Usyk next week. I posted my prediction on that. I am picking Alexander Usyk to win that fight by 7th round TKO, as you guys know. We have Broner's fights canceled. I could have made a Lipinets versus Figueroa prediction. I'll probably still make that video before the day ends, because I do think that is a pretty interesting fight. Me and Wave will talk about the whole Broner situation. We will talk about Tyson Fury claiming retirement again. Just a lot of things that we'll be discussing in this video. If you want to comment anything in the chat, feel free to do so as well. And yeah, guys, not too much else to say. I'm looking forward to this week's fight for sure. AJ Usyk, again, it's going to be very anticipated. I'm very looking forward to it. I feel that is definitely one of the more interesting fights coming up. I mean, I know who I'm picking, and I find it pretty hard for AJ to win this fight, but all the politics are on his side. He is the bigger fighter with more power, so he is a live dog, but I don't see him really having much of a key to victory in this fight, in my opinion. But I am excited for it for sure. The undercard's actually pretty decent as well. We got Filip Pergovic fighting Zheli Zhang. We have Callum Smith fighting in a WBC eliminator, which is pretty unfortunate because it means Arthur Beterbiev is going to have two mandatories now. He's going to have Yard and Callum Smith, which no one really wants to see either fight. But what can you do, man? It's the sport of boxing. Never ceases to disappoint its fans. And yeah, man, just looking forward to it. We got Wave in the hold on. Just give me one moment to add him. Yo, Wave, how you been, bro? Good having you on.
What's going on, man? Everything is good.
Yeah,
Sorry, a
man.
couple of minutes late. I just spilled my coffee over my laptop, just trying to get on.
No, you're fine, bro. You're fine, man. We're gonna be talking about a large variety of topics. We got the Broner situation. We got the Tyson Fury situation. Some upcoming fights. It's great to have you on. You're one of the OGs on here. One of the most respected accounts on here for a reason, and I'm looking forward to it. So just to begin it, Adrian Broner, he's been a large discussion going on with him. You don't have to give me all of your opinions on it, but what's your basic thoughts on him pulling out of this fight for Omar Figueroa?
All right. Well, I'm currently getting killed for my tweet.
Me too.
On this topic.
Me too. It's funny though, because only on Twitter do people disagree with my opinion. On YouTube, everyone agrees with me. Facebook, everyone agrees with me. But on Twitter, magically, coincidentally, what are the odds? Everyone on Twitter disagrees with my opinion on it. So you tell me yours.
All right. Well, whenever a fighter pulls out of a fight, the week of the fight, it always sucks because you got people that are fans that do travel to see these fights. Like it always sucks. Now, when it comes to Adrian Broner and him, basically saying that it's mental issues, he's going through things, he can't do the fight. I know there's rumors that's going around saying that he's not in shape, and I don't know if any of that is true. What I do know is that when I follow Adrian Broner's career, right, and even his fans would agree. I mean, I'm a fan of Adrian Broner. Even his fans would agree throughout his career, we need a focused Broner. If Broner is going to be focused, Broner's getting into trouble inside and out of the ring. He's having relationship issues. He's having sex tapes. He's having all of this stuff that's coming out. Over the years, there's always been issues with Adrian Broner. Now, people are blaming that on mental health, and at least now they are. They weren't then, but now they are.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to make it seem as if mental health is not a real thing. It is a real thing. We all go through it. My point is, we all go through it. Do you think Usyk doesn't have any mental health issues going into this fight with Joshua this weekend?
Of course he
We
does.
all go through it. So it's just like, for me, I can't feel bad for him. I hope he gets it together, but I've been hoping he got it together throughout his whole career. That's my point. This is not Danny Garcia. This is not Danny Garcia crying after a fight saying that he's gone through mental health issues. It's not the same thing. Danny has never gone out his way to disrespect anyone. You might call him a cherry picker or whatever, but the he's always been a stand-up guy.
Hey, at least Danny fought. At least Danny fought Benavidez. At least the fight finished, and then he talked about. If Broner beat Figueroa and then said a post-fight interview, I don't think anyone would have really had an issue.
Yeah, it's just like, how far are we gonna go with this? As far as like, can I curse? Am I? I don't know.
Yeah, go ahead. Go
ahead.
Okay.
Like, where do we draw the line between who's an asshole and who's going through mental health?
Yeah.
Like, you do things that's kind of not cool, and now we have something to label it where we didn't before. So now people are like defending him. And look, I understand, like, people will support Broner. I understand that the goalpost always changes between who's the fighter. There are people that defended Tyson Fury when he was going through some things. Some people defended Ryan Garcia when he was going through some things. So people feel that, the ones that are attacking Broner now was defending these other guys. Yeah. And that's not necessarily true. Not for everybody, at least not for me. I can't speak for everybody else, but for me, depending on the situation, sometimes it's not that I attack these guys. It's just like, it's a good excuse. It's a good pass to get out of a fight that you may not be prepared for, or you don't want to take.
For sure, because you look at it like this, they don't have to prove any injuries to anyone. They don't have to prove any illnesses to anyone. It's all psychological. And, I for sure have noticed that very few people have had a consistent viewpoint on this. Now, I've kept it consistent. My stance on Ryan Garcia claiming mental health and pulling out of a fight has been exactly the same stance I had on Broner pulling out of a fight with mental health. But I've noticed there's people who defend Ryan and hate on Broner, and there's people that hate on Broner and defend Ryan. And it's unfortunate that people just can't keep it consistent. And what I did is I kept it consistent. I got a little bit of hate for one, and I got a lot of hate for the other. On different platforms, it varies, obviously, but it's unfortunate. But, we have Omar Figueroa. He's calling it out as well, which he even said he had mental health issues. That was very interesting. The fight of him versus Lipinets should be pretty interesting, but I do want to ask you about a big fight coming up this week, a fight that we're all looking forward to. And people who say they aren't looking forward to it are lying, because fans love drama, and they know that no matter who wins this fight, there'll be drama. Alexander Usyk versus Anthony Joshua 2. What are some of your thoughts on that fight? How do you see it playing out?
I think at this point, this has been the longest that I've ever done film study for a fight. I still didn't do. I've done lives talking about this fight. I was supposed to do my breakdown days ago, and I'm still unsure. I'll tell you this. When I think of what I know what someone is capable of doing, you got to go with Usyk. I mean, he's consistent every single time. I have yet to see anyone beat Usyk in the last 3-4 rounds of a fight.
Yeah.
Not one person. No one is going to have that same output as Usyk at the end of a fight. That's if it goes there. And we are saying that Joshua has to knock him out, and it's something that's never been done. And we have to really go all the way back to his amateur fights where he was dropped by, body shots to really see him badly hurt. We have to go that far back. And it's just, I believe, and I feel that AJ is capable of winning. But it's so many things. It's like he has to be the perfect fighter to win. It's like I could talk about 20 minutes of what AJ can do or needs to do in this fight to win. Whereas Usyk, I know exactly what he's bringing. I know exactly what, and plus I already seen him beat AJ.
Yeah.
So I don't believe that it's just going to take AJ to be more aggressive. I believe that AJ being aggressive in the first fight, if he was more aggressive in the first fight, Usyk would have been prepared for that. Usyk is always constantly adjusting to whatever you're doing, not just for each fighter, but while the fight is going, he's adjusting constantly throughout the fight. So I'm leaning towards Usyk, but I feel like AJ could pull it off. And I am an AJ. I'm a fan of both, but I'm more of an AJ fan. So I feel like AJ could pull it off, but logically, Usyk's the better fighter.
Yeah, it's a very interesting predicament we got for this fight because objectively, it's very hard to pick against Usyk in this fight. But we know AJ has a lot of money going for him. We know he's gonna be much clearer minded in Saudi Arabia as he was in the Ruiz rematch, and we know AJ has a puncher's chance. He's a massive puncher. He does have good fundamental ability. What I see happening in this fight, especially because AJ keeps talking about how he wants to knock Usyk out, so he's likely going to gain a lot of weight. As I see AJ coming out strong early, starting to fight early for lead, pushing Usyk back, hitting him with some big shots, but I don't see him getting Usyk out of there. I see him tiring out. I think Usyk will start to pick him apart, and I see Usyk getting a mid-round stoppage off of stamina and accumulation. That's what I think is going to happen personally, but I do feel it is a very intriguing fight, and I am, as you are as well, a fan of both fighters. They're actually both my top 5 favorite fighter lists, so that's probably the first time that's ever happened to me, at least in a very long time, where they're fighting. So I'll be somewhat neutral, but just how incredible would it be if Usyk was able to win this fight and somehow claim the WBC title and be a 2-weight undisputed champion? I mean, that is absolutely exceptional. Now,
yeah,
I do want to ask you, since we're talking about the heavyweight division, Tyson Fury, he's announced another retirement. This guy, man, he's a real piece of work, isn't he? What's your stance on this retirement announcement and Fury in general currently?
I mean, my stance has always been this, and I've been consistent with this for years now, probably since the first retirement. I don't believe anything Tyson Fury says. I just don't believe. I mean, whatever he says, he's gonna say the total opposite the very next day. So. Yeah. I believe that it's great because I believe it's a great way to market yourself and to keep your name buzzing. I say the same thing about Floyd Mayweather, him being retired. Just keep putting stuff out there, keep doing certain interviews that's going to get people triggered. And once that is the way to market yourself today. I think people are not aware that how powerful social media is. How much power we have just to say something that's going to cause controversy. And even this whole Derek Chisora thing, like, he calls him out. He says he wants to take it. It makes it seem they somewhat say that they're in negotiations. Then the fight gets canceled. Then he goes back to retirement. And then even today, he made another video just clowning Chisora for not taking the money. It's like when people are constantly talking about you and you're continuously putting out content, it's great marketing, just getting everybody else's names out there. So what do I think about him retiring? Well, the thing about the ring title, right? And what is he giving up his linealship, right? If he is not going to be the lineal champ, it doesn't matter, because if he fights the winner of Joshua and Usyk, he'll have the opportunity to be lineal again anyway.
Yeah.
Now the WBC belt, that's the one concern there. And if they strip him or if he vacates that title, that means somebody else will probably be fighting for it. I'm thinking Deontay Wilder and Robert Helenius.
Interesting. Yeah, for sure. Tyson Fury is definitely not a guy to trust. He's definitely a clout chaser in boxing. I mean, he's made his name partially off of doing that. And if that WBC belt does go vacant, I do see Wilder definitely fighting for it. Now, my issue is Mauricio Suleiman, as usual, he's always doing whatever he can to stop Undisputed. We saw him do it at 135. We're seeing him do it right now. He's saying that Fury has until August 26th to make his decision. Right after AJ versus Usyk, too. What he could have done is he could have just made AJ and Usyk for Undisputed, or at least make a decision to or to not. But to postpone it, I don't understand it. It's clear that Fury isn't going to retire, because if he did, he would have vacated his WBC belt. Everyone knows that Tyson Fury shouldn't have even been the ring champ in general. I mean, he beat Wilder multiple times, and Klitschko years back didn't really warrant him being the ring champion in general. Lineal belt, I don't even know what a lineal belt is. I think it's like some sort of like phrasing. I've never seen Tyson Fury hold up a lineal belt, so when he says he vacated that, I don't really take it too seriously as well. But it's unfortunate for sure that, us fans, we're not getting clear answers about these fights, because we all would absolutely love to see Fury and Usyk fight, or Fury versus the winner of Usyk AJ. And I do feel if AJ does beat Usyk, Fury will definitely come out of retirement and try to make that Fury versus AJ fight. I think.
What if Usyk wins?
Usyk wins, I think he's going to stay retired, or he's going to do exhibitions, or he's going to do something. I truly believe Fury has no interest in fighting Alexander Usyk at all. I've seen him.
I agree with you. I'm not even saying that he loses. I just think that it's way too risky.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm not sure he loses. I think it's a true 50-50. That's why I'm such a fan of the fight.
Me too.
But Fury, the way he's discredited Usyk, he treats him like he's not on his level, when, in my opinion, Usyk's my pound for pound number one. Where do you have Usyk on your pound for pound list?
Probably 1 or 2.
Yeah, 1 or 2.
I have him and Bud.
And Bud, yeah, that's my 1 and 2 as well.
Usyk has accomplished more as far as consistency of level of opposition, and Bud, I personally think, is more skilled.
Yeah,
and I know he's done more in 3 divisions, but you could go either way with that. I think they're my 1 and 2. They're my 1 and 2.
Yeah, for me, if Bud and Spence happens and Bud wins, he's definitely number 1. And we keep hearing about that fight, and man, it's so overdue. This fight should have happened in 2019 or 2020. It shouldn't even have happened in 2021. I mean, it's absolutely insane how much this fight's gotten pushed back as well. And I'm a big Bud Crawford fan. I know you're a big Crawford fan as well. It's pretty unfortunate for us fans, but it's almost a reality. This is a fight that's almost guaranteed to be over its limit. Even if they do fight this year, Crawford's 35 by then. I mean, he's still a damn good fighter, but
he'll be 35.
Yeah, he's 35. And Spence with the car crash, Spence with the eye. I mean, these aren't the same guys, at least on paper, they were prior. And it's a bad look for us fans. And I'm starting to wonder if Terrence Crawford should just move up in weight at this rate, or take on the young guys like Virgil or Boots, because this Spence fight, they keep saying it's nearly done. It's nearly done. It's nearly done. How long have we been hearing this fight's nearly done? They keep repeating it, but
yeah,
it's insane that as a sport this is happening.
The reason why I have hope that it will happen next is because of if it doesn't happen now, I really don't see it happening.
Yeah,
it's either kind of now or never, because if you don't fight Bud, all of the other options available at 147 is kind of dangerous to me. And like, do you really want to fight Boots Ennis or Ortiz and not have at least made the money in fighting each other?
Exactly.
I personally believe that if the fight does not happen, these guys are done with 147. Period. I don't think I see maybe Arrow maybe fighting Virgil, because that could be a big Texas fight. So I do think at some point those two will fight each other.
What I think. Oh, go ahead. Sorry about that.
No. And I think with Bud, I'm really not sure, because I don't know how it's gonna work with the PBC. Because even if he were to go to 154, there's not many other options out there that's not PBC guys.
Exactly, for sure. Now, what I think Spence is going to do personally, I think he's going to go the Stanionis route, to be honest, because he's his mandatory, I believe, right? I think
for the WBA, but I think all of the belts are pretty much getting close to being a mandatory, because I think Virgil, Thurman might be ahead of Virgil.
He's WBC. WBC Thurman's number 1. I checked recently.
Okay.
I think Bud and Thurman might fight. If Crawford goes to PBC, I think the guy that's going to fight Thurman's probably going to be Crawford over Spence.
That's true. I forgot about Thurman and Bud. I think that will be the only fight I can see, what's his name? Bud fighting at 147. Thurman.
Yeah, it's as fans, I mean, Thurman's not a bad fighter, but we all know that what Crawford would do against Thurman. We know he'd beat him, he'd stop him. Even a prime Keith, I'd pick Crawford against now. Current
Yeah,
Keith,
me too.
I would
Totally
definitely
agree.
pick Crawford.
Prime
Now,
Keith, I picked Spence too, by the way.
yeah, for sure. The reason that I would pick Spence over Prime Keith, because I think Prime Keith off of ability is arguably as good of a fighter as Spence. I mean, you look at how they did against similar opposition, but the body work would beat him. If Keith Thurman was able to take body shots as well as the average fighter, because no one likes it to the body, but Keith likes it less.
Yeah,
he likes it less. If he took body shots the way the average fighter did, I'd probably either edge him to beat Spence, or I'd be very undecided. But the way he takes body shots, prime Keith, Spence would end up winning that fight. Now, we just had some fights this weekend. We had Teofimo Lopez and we had Xander Zayas. Let's start with the younger guy. Let's start with Xander. He looked very good. He looked very sharp. What do you think about him as a prospect, and what do you think about his performance?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's probably the top Puerto Rican prospect for now. He's very good, solid boxer, very solid, good power, very disciplined too. Not really into the the flashiness of stuff. It's all fundamentals. I really like him. I think he has a lot of potential. I've had conversations with other boxers that focus mainly on like the Puerto Rican fighters. I think especially when there's a new up and coming guy, they always love to jump straight to Tito. I think they want the next Tito, they want the next Cotto. I went to the bar the other night and watched the fight, and I met some people there that was there to watch the fight too. And that's what the conversation was all about. The next Puerto Rican superstar. We didn't get it with Verdejo, so with that being said, what I want to see with Xander, I want him to fight someone that has a great chin, someone really durable, and someone that a volume puncher, like a pressure fighter. Not a top tier yet. I don't think he's ready for the top tier guys at that division. I would like to see him fight a upgraded journeyman that is a rugged, come forward fighter, someone that's going to force him to back up, someone that can walk through some of his power so he can go more rounds. And that's what I want to see for now. Like, we know he can box, we know he can punch, but I want to see him under some pressure, because that's how we saw Verdejo lose his first fight, when he got pressured. Same thing with Cotto. Cotto lost his first fight, even though I'm not going to get into the gloves and stuff, but because it's not proven.
Yeah, but we know
lost his first fight the same way. So I would like to see Xander fight a good journeyman that is durable, that is a pressure fighter, that brings some volume.
Yeah, I think that would be a really, really solid fight for Xander as well. Personally, I've known Xander personally. I don't know if you know this, in South Florida. He used to go to the gym that I used to go to. He was only like 13 or 14. And we talk about discipline. I mean, this is a guy that was 13, 14 years old, leading groups of adults, telling them which way they should be training. And when I mean leading, I mean he literally was leading. He was training these adults. He was causing initiative, and he's been like that for a very long time. Quick shout out to my boy Iceman. Thank you very much for the donation. Truly appreciate that, brother, very much. But yeah, as I was saying, Xander, very disciplined throughout his career, and having a pressure fighter would be a very good step for him. Wave, give me literally 5 seconds. My dog's in my room and the door's closed. I'm just gonna let him out. He's growling, so give me 1 moment.
Yeah. What's up, everybody in the chat? I see you guys.
Sorry about that.
Yeah,
he was growling nonstop. I was losing concentration. But anyways, I do really like Xander as a prospect, and I made a tweet saying that Xander Zayas would destroy Joey Spencer. Do you agree that Xander would defeat Joey Spencer if they fought?
I don't know, because it's like, all right, so the thing with Joey is that Joey's been around longer, and I feel like he's just still fighting the same level of people.
Yeah.
So I can't really gauge how good he is. I know how good he looks against these guys, but I see I see Xander like slowly growing and
Yeah.
improving, which I think that maybe Xander has a higher ceiling, right? But I don't know what's up with Joey. I gotta see Joey in a real fight. I can't
Yeah.
tell you that right now because Joey's just been. I've been watching Joey for so long, and I kind of forgot about him. You know,
Yep.
it's like Chris Colbert. Like I was watching, I knew of Chris Colbert for years. You know, when
Mhm.
they was just calling him Little B Hop, and it was like for years. I was like, "Where's this guy going? Like when is he going to get a real fight?" You know. And I feel the same way about Joey. You tend to forget about certain fighters when you just kind of like see them in the same type of fight over and over again.
Yeah, for
So
sure. I mean, even you look at another prospect currently, Daniyar Yulusinov. He's claiming that he won't. He may even want to retire if he can't step up in opposition because he's in a similar position. Except the only difference is he's a guy that's older. He needs to be getting rushed into these big fights. Now, for Joey Spencer, he actually is fighting an improved opponent for his next fight. He's fighting the guy that just had a draw with Bryant Perella. I don't know if you remember that fight. Uh,
yeah,
he's definitely a step up, and it'll be interesting to see. But I just think Joey Spencer, he has so many flaws, man. I actually think Vito Mielnicki might even be better than Joey Spencer at this rate, which is a bold take because Vito lost the guy Joey beat, but
yeah.
I still would pick Vito Mielnicki, honestly. But yeah, Xander Zayas, very impressive, best Puerto Rican prospect. I've said this for a very long time, and I still believe it. I mean, Edgar Berlanga, he's been more disappointing after each fight, and that's also a little surprising. I thought he would, be a
Yeah.
little better than how he's been.
Elvis Rodriguez too. He kind of like
But I
had
think I
that.
think Elvis is Dominican, to be fair. But yeah, as
Is
well,
he?
Elvis.
Damn.
Yeah, he's Dominican. I actually used to think he was Puerto Rican as well, and then I made a tweet or post, I don't remember, it was a while ago, and I'm like, I think Elvis Rodriguez is a better prospect than Edgar Berlanga. I said it way
Yeah.
back, and people are like, or I mentioned like better Puerto Rican prospect, and they're like, no, he's Dominican. So I got that
It's
one wrong.
Matias is Puerto
Yeah,
Rican, right?
Matias is Puerto Rican. He's
Okay.
very good as well.
He's
Very
very
good.
good. Yeah.
I'm excited to see what he can do. But we saw Teofimo Lopez in the main event against Pedro Campa. He looked sharp, but defensively, I wasn't very impressed. He was getting touched up by Campa. He was getting pushed back. He looked uncomfortable in spurts throughout that fight. What was your thoughts on Teofimo's performance and of that fight?
I like the performance. I think the only complaint really was the defense wasn't great, but it wasn't bad. It just wasn't great neither. I think if he were to step up, maybe he'll have some issues. But my main thing, and in my post fight review of the fight, a recap, I basically said I would like for Teal to have another fight against someone that brings a little bit more than Campa. And when I mean by that, I don't mean like a pressure fighter, like I just said with Xander. Someone that is got some good, that's more of a technician. I brought up Jose Pedraza. I brought up who else did I bring up? I brought up
Barboza.
a few.
That was Arnold Barboza.
So the reason why I didn't, and that is a good fight. The only reason why I didn't bring him up is because Arnold is like a prospect, more like in a contender
Contender, yeah.
space now. I don't think top rank. Well, I think they would put them together if there was some kind of like mandatory type thing or eliminator on the
I
line.
believe their fight would be an eliminator. I heard someone say for WBO, so that fight could be very likely.
Okay, so if that's true, then that's a great fight,
Yeah.
because they both have their flaws. And Tio, one thing that I know is a big thing, and he boxed very well, and I wanted to see him box. I didn't want him to go in there and knock this guy out, and I didn't think they were going to go in there and then try to do that early. But speed, it definitely showed. I mean, I literally went right back to the Kambosos fight and also the Lomachenko fight, and I noticed that wasn't as quick. All
Yeah.
right, boxed well, but moving up, it just seems like he wasn't as quick. Maybe not as sharp as he was in a Lomachenko fight.
Agreed.
Even in the Kambosos fight, I thought he was quick and sharp. It's just the wrong game plan. He was just fighting reckless. So with that being said, I would like for him to have another fight where he's able to box a little bit. I thought of Pedraza. I thought of Postal. I thought of fighters that, weren't at the elite anymore, but they're good enough boxers that can take you some rounds and it's going to make you and force you to box with them. So
Yeah.
that's what I want for T.O. Good performance, but people are bringing up Taylor, Prograis,
No,
the top
they're
tier
not.
guys. I'm not sure about all that yet. I just want at least one more fight. It's no rush. There's plenty of time to do his thing,
Yeah, I definitely agree for sure. I'd pick those guys to beat Teofimo. I actually think a solid fight for Teofimo that no one's brought up is against Jukambayev. I don't know if you remember Jukambayev. He fought Matthias. He was undefeated. He was
Yes.
Kazakh. Yeah,
Yeah,
that would
I
be
seen that fight.
interesting
Yeah.
because even though Matthias kind of walked through him in the mid to later rounds of that fight,
Yeah.
Jukambayev's a very good fighter. Just stylistically, Matthias was all wrong for him. But you watch Jukambayev fight. I mean, this is a guy that completely schooled Miguel Vasquez when Miguel Vasquez was still getting robbed against O'Hara Davies. This is a guy that has good power, good boxing ability. I believe he's with Slimebag Rick Mirrigan, so who's with Top Rank. So it's definitely much easier for them to make that fight as well. And it would be a good test for Lopez's chin as well, because that's a guy who has decent pop, and we'd like to see how he takes shots at 140. I do feel his power did not look as good in that fight against Kampa. He was hitting Kampa with some big shots early, was not able to phase him. He did drop him in that 7th round, but Kampa was not really out. I just think it was the right shot at the right time. I don't really think Teofimo's power is necessarily what caused that. And when he tried finishing him, he hit him with a bunch of big shots. He was never really able to, really hurt him with those combinations. It was more of a stoppage of accumulation in that 7th round. And yeah, I don't think his power looked as good. Now, when it comes to him versus Prograis or Ramirez or Taylor, he loses to all 3 of them, in my opinion. I feel all 3 of them would beat him. I do think he would have a good shot against Zepeda, and Pedraza, I'd pick him to beat, but the top dogs at 140, he's going to need some time for sure.
Yeah, I think the one thing about the power, is because he's fighting a bigger guy. To me, I think he was fighting a guy that was pretty durable. And I've seen Kampa, like the little bit that I did see of him going into the fight, I knew he was pretty durable because he didn't have the defense. A lot of punches he blocked with his face. So I knew he was going to be like, especially when I saw their face off, I was like, I looked at them and I'm like, Tio's usually pretty heavy at 135. It's clear that he's moving up and fighting a bigger guy. So he's not going to have that same one punch knockout power that he had at 135. It totally makes sense.
For sure. Yeah, we saw that against Comp. I was actually picking Lopez to win that fight by decision. I was a clear outlier, and after the first 6 rounds of the fight, I looked like a genius because Compa was just walking through those shots. But by round 7, Lopez was starting to figure him out. There are a lot of good fights that can be made. I do want to see Pedro Compa return as well. I think him versus Joshua Vargas would be a really interesting fight. It'd be a good comeback fight for Joshua Vargas, and I would be pretty intrigued to see how the fight plays out. You look at this weight class 140. It's a very interesting weight class. Josh Taylor versus Jack Catterall coming up. That's a fight that I think is going to be very interesting. And I'm actually very excited for it as a Josh Taylor fan specifically, because I know in my gut Josh Taylor is going to win that rematch. That's my opinion.
I think so too. I think Josh is going to figure it out.
Yeah.
I knew, what? I knew that fight wasn't, you know what I thought? I knew Josh was going to win, or I thought Josh was going to win, but I knew it was going to look bad winning. That was like my thoughts before the fight, because I thought, Catterall is just that guy that is just not easy to look good against.
He's a bit spoiler type of opponent for sure.
So but I think he's going to figure it out and do better this time around, and I don't think he stops him though, but I do think he might either drop him or hurt him and have a more clear win this time.
I could see that. I do have him personally stopping him. I'm saying the 9th round. What I think happened in that fight, I do think Catterall had a great game plan, and I'm not taking anything away from Catterall, but the truth is the truth. I feel Josh Taylor definitely overlooked Jack Catterall. It reminded me a lot, shockingly a lot, like Tio Cambosos. Yep.
I knew he was going to say it. I was going to say the same thing.
A lot like Tio Cambosos.
Yes.
Everyone had very similar scores from Tio Cambosos and Taylor Catterall. Tio Cambosos was a much better fight, but elements of the fights were very similar. The buildup was very similar. And the only true difference is who got the wins in both fights. I mean, Tio lost and Taylor won, but their performances were quite similar, in my opinion. And I think in this rematch, Taylor's going to take it more seriously. He's a better fighter. I think most people, even the Taylor haters, know deep down that he is a better fighter than Jack Catterall. He's going to take it more seriously. He's probably going to work harder on the weight cut because he barely made weight. He probably assumed it's my last fight. It's against a guy I'm way better than. I'll win this fight, then I'll move up. He's going to take the weight cut more seriously, the training more seriously, and Catterall more seriously. I see him getting the victory. Well, I'll tell you this much. If Josh Taylor at his worst can still get a split decision win against Jack Catterall, no matter how anyone scored it, I think Josh Taylor, not at his worst, should be able to win this fight fairly. That's my thoughts on the rematch.
Yeah, I think he's gonna squeeze it out and win. I'm not expecting a knockout, but um, I think he's gonna just figure it out, come in with a better
Yeah.
game plan. I think he still might struggle just a little bit early, but I think Josh is gonna figure it out. It's gonna be similar to Postal, the Postal fight where he was losing early and he came back. I think he's gonna figure it out and take the win this time around.
Yeah, I
But I'm
think
glad
that's
he's doing a rematch. I am very
yeah.
glad that he's doing it because this that one. I mean, even a pro grade fight was close, but to me, I think Catterall won it to me.
Yeah, I
That
had him
fight
winning
was
by a point.
debatable.
And this is the fight where Taylor really got flack. I mean, some people questioned the pro grade decision, but it was very close. I had Taylor winning the first time I watched it. Second time I had it a draw. I think third time I saw it, I had Taylor winning 7-5. I mean, it was a very close fight to score, but
Yeah.
in all my viewings, I never had pro grades actually winning 7 rounds. The Postal fight was close, but Taylor won it. This is a fight where he had a clear case for losing. Some had Taylor winning. I personally didn't. I had him losing by a point. I don't think it was a robbery people claim it was. I've seen I put a tweet saying this robbery wasn't as bad as people claimed it was, and had people genuinely tell me this is the worst robbery in boxing history. I mean, that is absolutely insanity.
I don't remember the scorecards for that fight.
It was 113, 112, 114, 111, and 113, 112. I don't remember which
Yeah,
judges had it
as
what.
long as there wasn't any 117, 111s in there, then
Yeah.
I
I
don't
think the
really.
widest was 114, 111 Taylor, which
Yeah,
I
I
disagree with.
definitely had Jack winning, but normally when it's like, if I see a fight being like 8-4, 9-3, clear, and the judges, got it like the total opposite, that's when I'm like, yo, this is a robbery. But I don't think those scorecards are robbery scorecards. I think that was his gift. I think just about every top tier boxer has one. Almost all of them
Pretty
do.
much.
So, it is what it is.
Now, what do you think about a Teofimo Lopez versus Jack Catterall fight, assuming Catterall does lose to Taylor in the rematch?
Um, to be honest, it's not gonna be a good fight for Tio. I would highly avoid that fight. Even if Jack loses, uh, Jack bigger, very good boxer. Stylistically, I don't know. I gotta see a little bit more from Tio. I gotta see. I need to get that feeling we had when we was at 135 and undefeated. I gotta get that back, and you gotta sell
Yeah.
me a little bit.
Yeah, that flash, that explosiveness. Quick shout out to OG Punch Drunk Boxing. He says salute to 2 of the great channels. We've seen AJ make adjustments in fights versus Klitsch versus Ruiz. Do you believe in the IQ of AJ to adjust to Usyk? Once again, thank you very much, Punch, for the donation. I truly appreciate it. It was great having you on. Everyone check out Punch Drunk's channel if you somehow haven't already. I do think AJ does have the chance to adjust to Usyk. I definitely see it in the possibility, the realm of possibility, but I still don't see his adjustments being enough for him to win the fight. I feel whatever adjustment he makes in this Usyk rematch, Usyk will be able to negate. That's my opinion personally. What do you think, Punch? I'm sorry, Wade. I just had
Um,
Punch on last like a week ago.
so I think AJ is gonna be more aggressive, and
Yeah.
I think when I go back and look into his old fights, um, I think he's capable of winning. Like I think he has the ability to do better in the adjustments that he's going to make. I do somewhat, and I hate to say this, but I think it's true. I do feel that that loss to Ruiz changed him mentally a little bit. I do. I just
Mhm.
the way he takes on, like the way he really doesn't like to get hit. He really, really dislike. I mean, no fighter wants to get hit, but his reaction to it is like he fears to really go in there and be a killer. He needs to be that. I miss the AJ against Klitschko. I miss the AJ against Brazil. AJ against Dillian White. We need a little bit of that mixed with the IQ version that we're getting of him right now, in my opinion.
Yeah, there's definitely some shell shock from AJ. Most definitely, we've seen it, and even in the Kubra Pulev fight, we saw it, which is crazy because AJ a few years ago in that third round, he would have just blown Pulev out. But those middle rounds, I mean, he was nervous to get hit by a guy like Pulev. Not a good sign at all, and I don't think mentally he's ever fully recovered as well. I agree with that for sure. I want to quickly respond. Toby Bartlett says Catterall risk a third possible defeat in a row. Here's the thing: for someone on Jack Catterall's skill level, I mean, two Josh Taylor paydays and a Teofimo Lopez payday. I mean, I would take it. I think a lot of fighters would take it, even as high of a risk as they are. Those paydays and they're winnable fights. All three of those. I mean, the first fight he arguably won. I thought he won. The next two fights, both winnable fights. I would take the Teofimo Lopez fight, assuming he loses to Josh Taylor. It's winnable, and he could regain a lot of momentum and be put back on some of these rankings.
I got a question real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Who wins right now, Tio or Ryan?
I got Tio personally. How about you?
I'm not sure.
It's a tough fight. It's a tough fight, yeah.
If you asked me this a few months ago, I would have been like Tio without a doubt. That Ryan win, and it's a win that he's definitely was supposed to have, but I can still recognize the improvement in his game. I don't want to overrate that win that he had in the Fortuna fight.
Mm-hmm.
But I can see the improvement in that guy. I mean,
me too.
That guy is really, really fast and really, really powerful, and his defense is getting better. I think these guys should take the fight now.
For sure.
I said this about Spence years ago.
I'm saying it about Virgil right now of Crawford, and I think that the Virgil win would age extremely well for Crawford or for Errol. I wouldn't say that with Boots, because Boots is just too high risk already. They've already missed their period to fight Boots. I feel like now Boots is legit, could legit beat them. But Virgil, I mean, I'd fight Virgil right now if I was Crawford or Spence if they can't fight each other, because that one would age very well. But yeah, when it comes to Ryan, he's definitely improved a lot. His fundamentals look really sharp his last fight, his combinations, his power. His defense is better, but it's still not perfect, but it did improve. I think Joe Goosen, in hindsight, is showing to be a very smart and wise decision from Ryan. But man, Teofimo just has a dog. And I know Teofimo has, the Kambosos loss, and he has moments where he doesn't look the best, but I feel like deep down, Teofimo has a dog in him that Ryan doesn't. I feel like if they fight and the fight gets into those later rounds, into the trenches, I trust Teofimo's power and his chin more than I trust Ryan's.
I think Teo fights on the level of his opposition.
I think that's a good point, to be honest, because look at the Nakatani fight. Yeah, Nakatani fight. Then the Teofimo that fought Nakatani would stand no chance. I don't care how injured Loma is. Would stand no chance against Loma, for being honest. And then against Richard Comey, put him away in 2 rounds. He hit him with one big shot, and the fight was basically done.
Yeah.
I mean, he's an enigma, Teofimo, and I think against Ryan Garcia, we'll see a closer version of Teofimo that we saw in the past. That's a really good fight,
Teofimo at that moment was my favorite guy at 135. Like at that moment, in that Lomachenko fight, even if Loma wasn't complete, I'm just talking about what Teo was doing in that fight. I was like, nah, that's the dude right there. Like, I mean, he has his flaws, but that power and that speed, it was just, I was very impressed with that one.
Yeah, he looked so good. I mean, that was an amazing performance. His power, his speed, his athleticism, his offense, it looked really good. It's the best by far, obviously, that he's looked. And I would love to see that Teofimo come back. I think that Teofimo, personally, I'm pretty confident that Teofimo Lopez that fought Loma would defeat Devin Haney. I really do believe he would. That Lopez was different.
Yeah, I think Devin definitely would. Devin would definitely be winning the rounds, but I think Teo might catch him.
That's what I think would happen if Devin fought Tank. My gut feeling tells me Devin would be up on the cards. He'd be up on the cards, but we've seen, first of all, people act like Devin's this untouchable fighter. He's not Shakur Stevenson defensively. We saw Jojo Diaz win some rounds against him. We saw Linares win some rounds against him. We saw even Kambosos win a few rounds here and there. Tank would land. He wouldn't miss everything. And eventually I see him hitting Devin with some shot on the temple or something, hitting him with a hook while Devin's on the ropes, breaking him down and stopping him in the later rounds. I think Devin's defense is very good, probably the best in the division, but he's not untouchable like some other fighters his age, like Shakur.
Yeah, he's not Shakur of defense level. He is very good defensively, and I think he is better than Teo and Tank. I just don't know if it's going to be enough. I definitely give Devin the win over definitely Tank if it goes to the cards. It will be wide. Teo will be a little harder to beat on the cards because Teo lets his hands go a lot more. Teo's there to fight. So he's more balanced than Tank. Tank is like pure knockout, where Teo is more balanced. He can beat you on points, or he can or he can knock you out. Devin is all points. We know we're not getting a knockout for him. Plus, if he get caught, there's a possibility that he might get knocked out too. So I mean, I'm not sure. I'm not sure, but I think that's if they were to fight, that's where I'm going with it. I do think Devin beats them all, pretty much most of them on points. But T.O. is tricky because if T.O. catches you, I think he has enough power to knock you out.
Yeah, for sure. It's truly unfortunate and expected, obviously, that we haven't gotten any of those 4 young guys to fight each other between Devin, Tank, Ryan, and T.O. I mean, any of those fights would be excellent. I would love to see all of them. One fight I've wanted to see for a while is Tank versus T.O. I think that fight would be such fireworks. I've actually been on the side of Tank for a while in that fight. I'd still probably pick Tank, but that fight would be so good for the fans. I mean, that
I
would be
don't
such
know
a
anymore, man. I don't know. I love Tank. Like, I'm a big Tank Davis fan. I just get annoyed by the way his career goes. But I'm a huge Tank fan. I really am. He was the first guy that I was like, yo, I got to see this guy fight Lomachenko. Like, that was the fight that I wanted at one point. And I don't know now, because I don't like when a fighter relies too much of their power. It kind of reminds me of like how I feel about Wilder. Like, Wilder is going to look for that one opportunity to knock you out and make you pay. Doesn't matter how many rounds you win against them. And I feel like when that's your game plan, you run into Tyson Fury, where you can't knock me out and I'm beating you. I'm going to outbox you, felt that way about Ortiz rematch, Gerald Washington. Wilder has been, and I'm feeling like that with Tank now, because Barrios, he was losing to. Leo Santa Cruz.
Rolly, he was losing to. He was losing to Rolly.
Yeah.
Got a gift against Jackson Martinez.
To be honest, I thought he was joking around with Rolly the whole time. I didn't take it. I was watching it as in like, oh, Rolly's better than what I thought he was. But at the same time, I feel like Tank was playing around.
He was playing, but what if he wasn't able to counter Rolly? What if he was, what if it was round 8 or round 9 and somehow Tank was starting to slow down? I mean, if he tries something like that against someone more elite, it's not going to end up well for someone like Tank.
Yeah. We saw the Cruz fight what happens.
Yeah.
When it goes to this card, it's like when you can't, if he doesn't score the knockout, the fight might be really, really close.
He really struggled against Isak Cruz.
Even Leo Santa Cruz. Like, Leo was hitting him a lot. I mean, like, bro, he was hitting him with everything he was throwing. It's just that Leo didn't have the power,
He's too small. He's smaller, a lot smaller. He's all volume. And
Tank is shown to be a pretty durable fighter, up to this point. So I don't know, man. It's very hard to tell, because all 4 of these guys they bring different things to the table. I do think that T.O. is probably the most balanced when it comes to boxing and power. Tank is a lot of power there. Good boxer, but a lot of power there. Ryan, I think I honestly think he's kind of like the dark horse between the 4, because I think he's going to improve. I think he's going to be very good soon.
It's interesting. It's very interesting, this group of fighters, because they're all different. They're all iconic in their own way. They all have strong fan bases. What do you think objectively, not what you want to see, but what do you think is next for each fighter? For me, I know Teofimo is very likely to fight Barboza next. Do you agree that that's what Top Rank's probably going to do for Teofimo?
Yeah, if there's a title eliminator thing, like an opportunity there, I can see that. I can see that happening. I don't know if it's going to be the very next fight, but it might be. It might be.
And for Devin, we know he's fighting George, but after George, because I think we all know he's going to win that fight. I think him versus Loma is likely, but I still wouldn't bet on it.
I wouldn't bet on it because I could see Devin just moving up to 140.
Yeah, moving up.
And possibly fighting, because Top Rank got a good set of fighters in those. It's 140. They have they got a ton of fighters at 140 that they can easily make when it comes to Devin. So I can see him moving up. I do want to see the Lomachenko fight, because that fight, it involves a lot of trash talk between boxing fans about the franchise title. And I feel that before Devin moves up, I want that fight to happen because I want it to be settled. You
Yeah,
know, when it comes to who ducked who, that kind of thing. My stance was always I like the unification idea, the route. I just didn't like the franchise title, but I like the
mhm,
fact that I don't think it was wrong for Loma to fight Tio be
exactly.
for unification. You know, I just think most of the blame, people blame the fighters. I blame the WBC for not having their, everything in order.
Mhm.
So that's how I look. Ryan, I don't really know what Ryan's gonna do. I think it's gonna be
Tough call.
JoJo or something
But
like that.
JoJo's fighting Williams Zepeda in November. I could see Ryan fighting him in
Oh
like
yeah,
March. That's a really good fight, by the way. I'm still not sure who I'm picking. It's gonna be really good.
yeah.
I could see him fighting Zaur Abdullayev. I don't know if you know, but he knocked out Jorge Linares
I heard
recently.
about that. Yeah.
Yeah, I could see them doing that. Um,
I
Isak
mean,
Cruz is always on the table, but it's unlikely. It was supposed to happen already, and it hasn't.
yeah. I think somebody said, I don't know who it was. I see somebody tweet. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a Tank Cruz too. And I
I think
thought it
that's a
was
decent fight.
funny, but then I was like, I wouldn't be surprised by that.
I
You
wouldn't
know?
hate it. I think Tank Cruz 2 is solid because that first fight was close. I had it a draw personally. I thought that fight was pretty competitive. I'd be down for
Yeah, I
that
think I had
personally.
it as a draw too. I mean, Tank didn't look good at all. I mean, I figured that at some point Tank was going to figure him out, and he really didn't. I think him being
That me
so much
too.
shorter than Tank and him being low and being so aggressive, Tank just was hitting him on the top of the head. It wasn't really catching him with a real good shot. So,
Yeah, if anyone
um,
looked hurt in that fight at points, Tank was the guy kind of getting pushed back a little bit and kind of
yeah,
getting countered. His uppercut was completely taken away in that fight as well. I was very
right,
surprised. I was confident Tank was actually going to stop him. I mean, Isak Cruz, this is a guy that kind of struggled against Francisco Vargas, same Vargas that got knocked out one round after by Rayo of
right.
Valenzuela. So
Hmm.
that was pretty surprising to me. But I do feel a rematch, Tank would defeat him clear. Might
Hmm.
stop him even, but I would definitely be down to see it. I think Isak Cruz. I think Loma and Isak Cruz are the two dark horses of 135, in my opinion.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, Loma's always going to be that guy, and depending on who he faces, and I know he's getting older, but depending on who he faces, he's going to be tough for anybody. Still at 135. That's why I really want to see the Devin fight because I just don't want. I know Devin can easily just beat this guy and Cambosos and just move up, but I would love to see Devin just take that one fight. I think if Top Rank really maybe put some good money up, and Loma's gonna have his. I made a video. I don't know why everybody went crazy over the comments about him fighting a tuna.
Yeah, I
Like
don't understand the big
he's
deal about that.
tied up. Devin is already tied up in a rematch.
Yeah, that's the thing. As long as
Oh,
he
he's not
has
gonna
that
sit
tune-up,
around.
as long as he doesn't wait too long to have the tune-up, I don't have an issue with that. And I heard someone say Bog Williams was actually the guy. He said Loma versus Jeremiah Nakafila is possible. It's an all right fight. I mean, it's not what we want, but I could see that happening. I'm not
Yeah,
really
you know
sure who
what?
else.
That's an all right fight.
Yeah.
That's a solid comeback tune-up fight. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, for sure. I'm not sure who else Top Rank has really at that weight range. That'd be a good tune-up for him. I mean, he's beaten all the other tune-up level fighters that Top Rank has, Kome, Nakatani. Quickly,
Mhm.
Punch Drunk says Ben Whitaker, Cassius Clay of the UK. I do think Ben Whitaker is really solid. I've been watching him since the Olympics. I don't know if you've seen him yet, Wave, but he's very solid. He's an Olympic silver medalist out of the UK of 2021 games. So he's definitely a good up-and-comer for sure. I definitely would watch out for him in the future. He's definitely going to be polarizing too. He talks a lot. He has a lot of flair behind him. But yeah, man, it's going to be very intriguing for sure. Him versus Nakafila. I mean, okay, I don't know if this is the real punch now. I'm seeing it everywhere now. I'm starting to question if someone else has made a punch chunk account. No, but in all seriousness, because that's happened so many times to punch to me. But in all seriousness, Nakafila, that's a good comeback. I mean, this is when Shakur beat Nakafila. I criticized.
People really do that. Man, I hope no one does that with my channel.
I
Oh my
haven't seen it
god.
happen to you, but I have seen it happen to me on many accounts. I actually saw it happen on Rapstar's account, I believe, Punch Drunk's buddy, and a shout out to Rapstar, where someone made an account of me. Rapstar thought it was me and made it mod. and that version of me was like kicking and banning everyone. It was horrible. I still apologize to Rapstar in case he doesn't know. Like even like a few months ago, I'm like, Rapstar, I don't know if you know this, but there was a stream like a year back where it was a fake me. It's still I still message Rapstar about
People are
that.
crazy on the internet, man.
Crazy, man. I don't understand why StreamYard doesn't have a thing where if you press on the comment, you could see the amount of subscribers the account has. It's like they almost enable it. I don't understand it, but people are people. What can you do, man? Let's see. No, I'm not Rick. I'm not Rick Laser's nephew. Someone commented as a joke on Twitter that asking Rick Laser if I'm his nephew, and Rick Laser threw like a hissy fit, like he always does when anyone asks him a question.
Yeah.
So I've just been playing along with it. I'm not Rick Laser, and I'm not Mexican either. I don't know how you think where that came from, but anyways,
yeah.
As I was saying, it's gonna be very interesting. I still feel Loma is the guy at 135. My gut still tells me because. My gut genuinely tells me that he beats these guys at 135. These guys are still a little too green, in my opinion. I feel the reason Teofimo was able to beat Loma is because he had Loma's respect of his power, and Loma wasn't comfortable getting in close range. I don't think Devin's going to have Loma's respect, and I feel Loma's going to feel very comfortable getting in close and hitting Devin.
That's a really good. That's a really good matchup, to be honest. Sure. Haney and Loma is a really good matchup. I really hope we get it before he moves up to 140. Hopefully Devin goes over there and wins again. And Loma does his tune-up and we get the fight early next year. If not, if Devin does decide to move up to 140, then Shakur will get his feet wet at 135 against Lomachenko. And to be honest, I don't see anyone beating Shakur Stevenson, man.
Shakur Stevenson's something else, man, isn't he? I mean, this is a guy that legit looks near untouchable right now, and I mean,
I just don't see anyone beating him, man. I think he's the next thing, I think he's a future pound for pound #1 fighter right now.
Oh, he's at minimum pound for pound top 2, top 3 in his prime. I mean, it's going to be between him and Boots, in my opinion. I think Shakur has a little edge. I think Shakur has a little edge because he's already accomplished more than Boots because he has that head start to his career. He's already a unified 2-weight champion. But I think Boots is going to be something else too, man. That guy is scary compared to these other guys.
Yeah, I think if there's a point where Shakur even starts hitting a little harder too, it's gonna be really trouble for everybody. He's just toying with everybody. I don't see anybody beating him right now from at least 130 and 135, not for sure. But as soon as he goes to 135 and have a fight or two, I'm going to probably be even saying that 140. Like, I think he's just the talent gap between him and everybody else is just too wide.
Yeah.
I know he's not everybody's cup of tea, but he's good.
I feel, though, that Loma is a guy that can beat him. I think that's the only guy, to be fair. I would pick him to beat Devin. I'd pick him to beat Teofimo. I'd pick him. Him versus Tank's interesting. I'd pick him to beat Tank. But that's a fight that I wouldn't be comfortable picking Shakur because Tank is physically bigger than him, in my opinion. He's physically bigger than him. Yeah. He has the power to change the fight. But at the same time, he's taken 6 rounds to knock out Rolly. And even playing with him or not, if he's taken 6 rounds to really land that shot against Shakur, I don't know if he's going to do it at all. And yeah, I currently pick Shakur to beat Tank as well. What's crazy about Shakur is he's not that flashy defensively, but he's so good defensively. You're not seeing him do these crazy weaves and dodges, and he's doing little, very subtle footwork, upper body movements, and these guys can't touch him. I mean, Valdez.
Because he sees it coming from a mile away. It's like before the punch is even thrown, he knows. I said to people, like, because people compare him to Mayweather, and I say he reminds me of Money May, not young Pretty Boy Floyd, not that guy. The two totally different people. But the older, more mature, seasoned Mayweather, he reminds me of him a little bit on the defensive level, and just the bag of tricks that he has. Offensively, he's underrated. He's very good. I mean,
I agree.
He has the way he puts his punches together. I think people don't. I just give him slack because of the lack of punching power. But
I like his body work. He has very good body work. People don't talk about that.
He's very comfortable being in the pocket with guys that can fight on the inside. He's very comfortable with being there. He can do it all.
I've heard some people in the UK say Joe Cordina would have a good chance against Shakur Stevenson.
Well,
Shakur,
it's a good fight.
it's a good fight because it's unification, but if you look at it objectively, I mean, Shakur would,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
he'd
And,
probably
and
beat him like
listen, I
10 rounds.
slept on Joe for that fight against
Me too. I picked Ogawa to beat him, and he knocked him out in 2
yeah,
rounds. And I actually think he's probably going to beat Rakhimov because I don't think he's going to knock him out. I think it's going to be a very tough fight.
yeah.
I think Rakhimov's very underrated, but I am picking him to win that fight, and I would be down to see the fight. It's unification. I actually would also like to see Shakur fight the winner of Gutierrez and Hector Garcia. That fight's happening this week. Very under the radar fight.
I
Very good
really want to
fight.
see that.
I got Hector Garcia winning personally.
Me too. Me
I
too.
really like Hector. I think he's very underrated, very solid. I think he'd give Shakur a better fight than Joe Cordina personally.
Yeah, I want Hector to win. I think he's definitely going to beat Gutierrez. Even if it was Colbert, I had him beat Gutierrez is solid, but on the top level, I think these guys,
Yeah, I
I
had
think they
Colbert
all
beating
beat him. I
Gutierrez
have Joe
also.
Cordina beating Gutierrez as well.
Yeah, me too.
Gutierrez is cool, but I would like to see Hector Garcia against Shakur for sure, and Shakur against Joe Cordina. I mean, those are the only fights at 130 I really kind of want to see at this point.
That's it. Yeah, for sure. I mean, I will say this: Consacao is a good fighter. He beat Valdez in pretty much everyone's opinion. I like Consacao, and I have no issue with this fight because he does deserve a shot at that title after having
No,
the
it's a good
Valdez
fight.
situation.
It's a good fight.
It was also a good fight as well. Yeah. He will come to fight, but Shakur is going to outclass him. I mean, we all know Shakur is going to win that fight. I'm not sure how badly he's going to outclass him. I don't think he's going to 12-0 Consacao. He's probably going to like 10-2 or 9-3.
Yeah, 10-2, 9-3. No more than 9-3 to me. I
Yeah, no
think
more than
Consacao is
9-3.
a very good boxer. But Shakur is a better boxer and he has better conditioning. He can fight all 12 rounds that way. That the Consacao kind of gave up the fight, towards
He
the end of
faded
the
in those
second
later
half.
rounds.
Valdez kind of started pushing forward. I think Stevenson is gonna just do the same thing all 12 rounds, Yeah.
But that's a good fight, and that's a good defense for Shakur. And he's building up a really good case. I'm not gonna say he's fighter of the year, but he's in the conversation no matter what happens if he wins that fight. Because a Valdez and Consacao win, unifying and defending against a very good contender. That's a solid year for a young guy like Shakur Stevenson. And I'm actually gonna be very interested in who fighter of the year will be at the end of the year. Because if Devin beats Kambosos, he went undisputed and defended it. If Usyk beat my
You
eligibility,
got Bam Rodriguez you could throw out
yeah,
there
Bam.
too.
I forgot about Bam as well. Yeah,
Bam
Quadras.
Rodriguez and he fought twice already this year, right?
No, I think it was actually I think it was 3 times because I think first fight was against someone not that well known. Then he fought Quadras and Rungvisai. Now he's fighting Israel Gonzalez, who's solid and will come to fight. That's a good year for sure.
Yeah, I mean, so far he would be like top 5 at least.
Guaranteed. Yeah, I've heard a lot of people say he's winning no matter what. It's a shame that Charlo Zhu is in 2023 because if that fight was to end the year, Charlo would probably get it for me. I actually predicted
it's an easier fight for Charlo in my opinion than
Castano. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I agree. But that's still a good fighter. I mean, Tim Zhu.
No, it's still a good fight.
Solid. Yeah. That's a good one for sure. My only real eligibility for fighter of the year is if you fight twice and you win your fights. So it's not that difficult. I'm looking at it right now. Who could really be in contention? It's gonna be interesting. If Bivol fights Zerto before the year ends and wins that fight, you'd probably have to give it to Bivol. Yeah, exactly. Khaled just commented this the exact second I said that.
Yeah, Bivol fighting Zerto and beating him would give me number 1 for him.
Yeah, for sure. But also, another guy to be contention, better Biev. It wouldn't be as good as Bivol, but it'd still be a good year if he beats Yard before the year ends. Speaking of those fights, we know, I don't know if you know this, but if Callum Smith defeats that, I think, French dude, he is going to be better Biev's WBC mandatory. This is utterly ridiculous, man. It's insane. These sanctioning bodies work their hardest, not to give us good fights, but to prevent undisputed. It's absolutely ridiculous. These guys both have 2 mandatories before they can fight each other.
Yeah,
horrendous
it's
stuff, man.
175. Someone actually, I think I did make a video on this, but 175 is very tricky because the Zerto thing, Bivol really didn't want it, because they were trying to make the Joshua Buatsi. I mean, that's something that Eddie Hearn wanted, though.
Yeah, Eddie Hearn.
Which I didn't care for. I like the Zerto fight better.
Me too. I think Zerto. I think the WBA for once, which is very rare for me to say this, made the right call by keeping Zerto mandatory. But
yes, absolutely. Zerto's huge at that weight. And I love Better BF versus Yard. I think that's a good fight. I mean, Joe Smith was a good fight. This was a good fight. It's going to be a good fight. Um, you know, I did hear about Callum Smith. You know, I did hear about that. Me personally, I would definitely love to see Callum Smith fight Joshua
That's
Buatsi.
exactly what I was thinking.
I
Exactly. That would
was,
be such a good fight.
yeah, I think that's a very good fight. I think that's a good matchup. I think they're both around the same level at this point.
They are
And I think, like, what are we doing? Like, I just like let's get
undisputed.
these guys to win these next two fights. The winner of Zerto and Bivol and Yard and Better BF. The winner of those fights, let them fight each other. Buatsi and Callum
Let
Smith
them fight on
fight.
the co-main. Let them fight on the co-main, and winners could fight. At least let
Yeah,
us get undisputed before we do this. I mean, we have the exact same idea. We look at it the exact same way. I mean, Better BF is no spring chicken, man. I mean, this guy is what, 37? I mean,
yeah,
we're not here waiting around, tune-up fight here, mandatory
yeah.
here. And he's also injury prone as well, as we've seen in the
Right.
past. Can't risk that as well. Let's just make the fight. It's one thing to have one mandatory each, but to have two fights each to where Better BF has to get past, well, he will get past. We know Bivol will win his fights as well, but just the idea of him having to fight Anthony Yard and Callum Smith. I mean, two guys that haven't earned a Better BF fight in general. I mean, these aren't guys that have earned it anyways. And then you have Bivol, who actually has the tougher schedule, for being honest. He has to deal with Zerto and Buatsi. I mean, it makes no sense. It makes no sense at
Yeah.
all.
I think, let me tell you something, man. If they don't make undisputed after these next two pair of fights, I don't think it's gonna happen. I
Again,
think
yeah, I
that
agree. And
it's gonna be, that's it.
it
It's gonna
breaks
be
my
too
heart,
long.
man, because Bivol and Better BF could arguably even be a better. I mean, I'm not saying it's better than Crawford Spence, but it has a case to be better than Crawford Spence because it is such an intriguing fight. Such an
Yeah, no,
intriguing
it's at
fight.
that level. It's really at that level as
It's at
far
that
as
level.
even the styles. When you look at the styles of the two, is very, very similar, and the problem with that, and I know like it's not all of their fault because fighting on different networks. Plus, Better BF had his fair share of injuries, similar to Spence.
Yeah.
Being out, he had his fights. But with that being said, like we've been talking about this fight since the end of Kovalev, Ward, and Stevenson's era. This fight,
Yeah.
we got Vosdick out the way quickly, which was a great fight at that time. Not a fight that I even thought we was gonna get that soon.
I
But
agree.
we got it when we got it, and it was good. And
I
it
was
was a
so
great,
surprised when they made that fight, man.
yeah, Volstick just beat Stevenson. So it was a great matchup. Better BF had been going on a killer spree for a while. Once we got that fight, it was cool. We knew Bivol was the other best guy already.
Yeah.
He went and beat Joe Smith Jr. already. So with that being said, like that fight should have happened years ago.
Yeah,
We've
for
been
sure.
I've been talking about this fight for like at least 3-4 years already, if
And
not
we have
longer.
Joe Smith out the way too now. We got Joe Smith out the way. He was kind of like the last piece of the puzzle. All signs are pointing to this fight being made. And now we got these guys who no one wants to see Callum Smith get destroyed by Arthur Better BF. No one.
Callum Smith, if we being honest, Buatsi, Callum Smith, and Zerto should all be facing each other right now.
Of course
Those
they
guys
should.
moved up.
Yard two. I don't know where Yard came from. What did Yard do to get a Better BF fight? Who's this dude even fought?
Yeah.
Lyndon Arthur? Who is
Yeah.
Lyndon Arthur before he fought Yard?
Yeah, those guys, those four guys.
They should make a tournament. They should make a tournament. Those four guys, the
Yes.
winner will fight. If you win the tournament, you'll earn a shot at undisputed against the winner
Yes.
of Better BF Bivol. Now, I don't know. I think Buatsi or Zerto. I think Buatsi would probably come away with that. Nah, I'm gonna go with Zerto. I pick Zerto to win that tournament. It's a tough call. I think Zerto would probably edge it out. It's a tough call, though.
I like. You got Yard, Buatsi, Zerto, and who's the fourth guy?
Smith.
I like Zerto.
Yeah, Zerto's a safe call there. I think Buatsi is
It's a safe call.
chance.
I don't think he's the most skilled at all, but he's just so big, man. I think he really belongs at 175. But I think Bivol beats Zerto. I know it looks like Bivol's been avoiding him, but I think Bivol's gonna take care of him.
Yeah, for sure he will.
He's gonna
And
take care of him.
anyone claiming that the guy. First of all, Zurdo has ducked more opponents than any fighter in boxing, arguably. So for anyone to be ducking Zurdo Ramirez is absolutely hilarious. I mean, this guy has ducked so many chances for a title shot. He ducked Leader Alvarez, ducked Joe Smith. There's another. The Kovalev fight could have happened. He was a reason why it didn't happen. This is a guy that's avoided so many fighters, and yet people are scared of this guy. I mean, this is a guy that went life and death with Jesse Hart, who's a decent fighter, but not on Bivol level. Bivol would definitely defeat Zurdo, in my opinion. I mean, anything's possible, but no one's ducking Zurdo Ramirez. I don't know where a guy like Bivol, a guy that's proven to have no fear, this is a guy that fought Joe Smith like it was nothing, fought Canelo Alvarez and schooled him, would be scared of Zurdo Ramirez. I don't know where this narrative came from.
Bivol has not almost lost.
He's won every fight clearly. The closest he got to losing was when Joe Smith buzzed him. That's the closest he got to losing.
Yeah. Joe Smith definitely buzzed him, but Joe Smith buzzed just about everybody in his career except Beterbiev, who's even the bigger puncher.
Yeah, we were there, Wave. I'm not gonna lie, I was rooting for Beterbiev. I was like the only person in the arena, and when he blew him out in 2 rounds,
yeah, I
think
think
the crowd, Wave.
You know what? I go to a lot of fights, but when there's a New York fighter fighting in the Hulu Theater, everyone goes crazy. It doesn't matter who it is. And let me tell you, if you were there, for the people that weren't there, you would have thought Joe Smith Jr. was Manny Pacquiao.
Yeah, you would have.
That's how much the energy in that crowd that night. The only other fight that I can think of that I saw recently, that I've been to recently, that reminded me of that is when AJ lost to Ruiz that day in the Garden. The crowd, the energy was nuts in there for Joe Smith.
It was.
The announcement, everything. Beterbiev went in there and just destroyed them. Like, just.
It's so messed up.
And Joe got a great chin. He's always been durable.
Yeah, exactly. It's messed up, Wave, but it may have been the funniest thing I've ever seen when everyone's rooting for Smith and he just gets absolutely washed. I mean, I don't know if I've ever seen a fighter get blown out the way Smith did, because every knockdown was from like a weird shot to the temple. It's not like he just got pummeled on the ropes. It was like Beterbiev was just hitting him with like pot shots and like putting him down.
It is bad, and
the
when that happened,
reaction was comical. It was sad. I felt bad, but in hindsight,
everybody in the crowd was looking at each other. Like everybody were you would just look to your left. You look. It reminded me of AJ and Ruiz, where everybody was just looking at each other like shocked.
These angry like construction workers for Joe Smith with their testosterone like off the roof, like getting all angry. It was unintentionally hilarious in hindsight. It was a great event though. I really had fun.
You know what also that reminds me of? I remember when I went to Jamal Charlo's fights when Jamal had just lost to Tony Harrison. And Jamal was fighting Korobov. And the energy in the crowd was like, holy shit, is he gonna lose too?
He arguably lost.
Everybody in the crowd was talking to each other, like just talking, like we all knew, like the people that were sitting around me, we were all talking about, hey, is this guy gonna lose too? Because the Harrison fight was debatable. Like people were arguing about that, but the way the Korobov fight was going,
he was getting hit by everything.
It just didn't look good. I'm like, man, this is just not a good night, man. This whole twin Charlo team up on the same card thing was a bad idea. And it reminded me that fight with Joe Smith where everybody was just talking and looking at each other like, man, we all thinking the same shit.
Man, that was crazy. I did have fun though. It's kind of crazy because I don't know. It was just the whole event for me was wild because in the co-main event, right behind me was Abraham Nova's girlfriend and family. Right behind me. But I'm not going to lie. The friends were very annoying. I mean, you would be shocked. Not to me, but they were screaming, like, just in general. They were super loud and obnoxious. But I'm not going to lie. I did really feel bad for her girlfriend. And when Robesi Ramirez knocked out, and I interviewed Robesi, so I'm rooting for him. I'm supporting him. I like him. Yeah. When he knocked him out, I was happy. But I'm like, oh, shoot, I can't react that much, right? I can't get that excited. I mean, his family's right behind me.
Nova's cool, but I thought he was overrated. I mean, I just didn't not that he was overrated because, not many people are like talking about him, but when I seen him fight on the undercards, I just thought he was okay. I didn't really think much
He's
of
all
him,
right.
I just
Yeah.
was like, oh, he's
I
okay, you know.
I knew Robesi would get to him though. I told my dad this. I told other people watching. I didn't tell them obviously, but they were disrespecting Robesi. They were like, "Oh, he's gonna knock him out." And by I think round one was decent for Nova, but by round two, I was saying to myself, I heard them like be
Yeah,
like, "Man, this guy like." They were getting frustrated, and then by round five, when he knocked him out beautifully, I love
yeah,
Robesi Ramirez. Really, good dude, really good fighters. Manager's a great guy as well. I would love to see him fight Navarrete next. I think that's the only real option for
yeah.
Navarrete.
126. I mean, I'm glad that they're sort of kind of getting things together because it's been a long,
Drought,
dry
drought. Yeah,
uh division for years now,
it has been. It's been the
no
weakest division.
unifications at all.
Yeah. Now it's very interesting because we got Ray Vargas, Emmanuel
Hmm.
Navarrete. We got Gary Russell still there. We got Mark McSally still there. We
Hmm.
got Lee Wood. Leo's
Leo
coming
Santa
back.
Cruz is still
Yeah,
technically
Leo's
there.
coming back.
Yeah.
Dog Bay, who's somehow squeaking out every fight he's in.
Yeah,
Joette's still
that
there.
last fight was
Yeah, I was a
I
little
kind of I
salty.
didn't do a breakdown, but I was leaning towards Joette pulling it off just
Mhm.
off activity.
Yeah.
But it was close. It was 7-5. Like, I thought it was 7-5 for Joette.
I'm not gonna lie, Wave. I was very heated because I predicted the fight to a T. To a T. And I picked
Mhm.
Joette. I picked it to a T. I had said Dogbe would start out strong. He'd hit Joette with a lot of big shots, but Joette would take them. He has a great
Mhm.
chin. Joette
Mhm.
would start to warm up. Dogbe would start to tire out. Joette would take over in the later rounds, and he'd win a close decision.
Yeah.
Everything I said happened, except Dogbe got the victory.
The
I
decision.
mean,
Yeah. I mean, you know what? It was I think Joette, I honestly believe that Joette edged the win. But, you know, he won the fight. I'm surprised they didn't just give it to him. But Dog Bay is good. But again, I think the losses to Navarrete really changed them,
oh, he
and I
took a
think
lot of
he's
punishment in those fights.
yeah, and he boxes better, but he's kind of like AJ, I think he needs that dog in him a little bit,
Mhm.
box, but you need to be that rugged, like, I like the Dog Bay. You got to bring a little bit of that bark that you had when you was coming to the ring and stuff like
The
that aggression,
Magdaleno performance was awesome. That was a great win for
Yeah.
sure.
Navarrete is just really, really good, and
Mhm.
I've said before, he's my favorite Mexican fighter outside of Canelo. I think he's like the best to watch because
Yeah, I
he's
like him a
so
lot too.
awkward. He can switch. He has power. He throws a lot of punches, and his angles are very underrated, man. He throws these punches from angles that you just don't see coming. I think he's the
Yeah.
best guy at 126 for
You
me.
know, you know a Mexican fighter I really like. So my favorite's been Estrada for a while, but a guy I really like, I think is really cool to watch is Bronco Mauricio Lara. I love watching Mauricio Lara fight.
Mhm.
And the fact that Josh Warrington has gotten away with
I know.
with
I don't even get me started with that. Oh,
yeah, it gets me so
it's
heated.
such a scam the
The
way he
way
got the belt back.
this dude gets cooked by an unknown fighter. First of all,
Yeah.
Warrington vacates the IBF before fighting Lara the first time. For no
Mhm.
reason, first of all. It could have been a regular defense. I don't know what Eddie Hearn was thinking, but it worked, which gets me even more angry. He gets dominated, dismantled. Rematch. He's about to get dismantled again. He fights
Mhm.
very dirty and a headbutt happens. I'm not going to say intentionally headbutted him, but he got very fortunate that fight got stopped. If it was the other way around and say it was round 6 or 7 and Lara was clearly winning, they wouldn't have stopped the fight. They knew
Yeah.
that they could have weaseled out a draw. And then somehow Warrington gets a title shot after that, and now
Yeah.
Warrington is trying to avoid it. Now, we have some good news. The guy Warrington is likely fighting, Luis Lopez, is probably going to walk through him. I mean, Luis Lopez is a monster as well, and I would love to see Luis Lopez fight Lara as well. But the fact that Lara is getting so screwed over, and not enough people are talking about that as well. I mean, he's such a fan-friendly fighter. He's so entertaining to watch, and he embarrassed Josh Warrington, and somehow Warrington's a champion and he isn't. I don't get it.
Yeah, I don't like it neither. But I, where is everybody's kind of scattered in that division as far as networks and promoters, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if it's great for Lara being over there with Matchroom.
Yeah, they don't have his best interest at mind at all, for sure.
Yeah,
They know he's a threat. They know he beats Warrington if they fight again. That
Yeah.
guy should probably leave at this rate because he's not getting another
He
Warrington
needs to
shot.
be with PBC or Top Rank at this point. You
Yeah.
know, I think so. I would say Top Rank because I know what's this guy? Ray Vargas is there, Mark Masayo is there, Gary Russell is there. But as far as the styles, I want to see him against Navarrete.
I would love that fight, but I heard that they're friends and they wouldn't fight. So I heard it a while ago. It may not be
Yeah.
true, but that would be such a great fight. I'd pick Navarrete, but I'd love to see it. I think that fight would be a war. Very entertaining
Yeah.
matchup for sure. I think
Yeah.
PBC would be probably the smartest choice because there's the most options. I mean, Top Rank does have a lot of options. You know, we're not even mentioning Mick Conlon, who just fought lately. I mean, Mick Conlon's not a bad fighter. That guy was cooking Laywood early on.
Yeah. I thought it was pretty good. You know, I think was I live? I can't remember if I was live. Maybe I wasn't, but I'll say that there were some people that think it wasn't a good performance. I thought it was pretty good in my
For
opinion.
Mariaga, the Mariaga fight.
Yeah.
Here's how I look at it. He looked sharp, but it was just a typical Mick Conlon, not the most entertaining, not the most exciting. But he did look sharp. I mean, he was accurate. He was landing pretty consistently. His defense was solid. But at the same time, Miguel Mariaga is so out of his prime, man. I don't know why this dude doesn't retire.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't expecting much outside of like I think a lot of people that pick Mariaga, you know, some people put the money up because of the odds were so wide and stuff like that. I think people were just counting on, you know, Conlon not being the same damage, you know, from getting knocked out of the ring like that. And Mariaga does have a great KO ratio, but I mean, he literally loses to everyone that's talented that he faces.
That I noticed that too. He's never
Yeah.
won on televised, like legit televised TV. Lost to
Nah,
Walters, lost to Valdez, lost to Loma, lost to Eduardo Ramirez, lost
right.
to Joet, lost to Conlon. I mean, sheesh, man.
Yeah, Colin. I knew Colin was gonna win on points. It's just that I think people were counting on him not being the same, you know.
Yeah, some people
Mhm.
for sure. That was a but as I said, this weight class is interesting. We're also forgetting another guy I interviewed, really good guy, Ruben Villa. He only fought
Yeah.
once since Navarrete lost. That's if I had to pick one dark horse to weight class, I'd pick him just because he gets such little attention compared to these other guys.
That is a guy that can box really good. And I think he,
Mhm.
like you said, he lost to Navarrete. Who else did he fight? I can't remember. He
He
fought
fought
somebody else.
he fought Horacio Garcia recently. That was a guy that arguably beat Carl Frampton a few years back. I don't remember. I don't think he's fought too many known guys, unfortunately.
Yeah, he's good. He's a good boxer, though. He is a good boxer, and I just I remember him going into that Navarrete fight, and at that time, I actually, you know, I think I probably picked Navarrete to win, but I thought going into the fight that it was 50-50. Like I really rated him high
Yeah,
because
I picked
I just
Navarrete
haven't checked
too,
him
but
out in a while.
I knew he'd come to fight. He was the first guy that really is that the first guy Navarrete went 12 with since he was on the world scene? Navarrete is actually fighting this week as well. I don't know if you know that. It's very under the radar. He's fighting against Eduardo
It's
Baez. Yeah, he's fighting against Eduardo Baez. That's the
yeah,
guy
okay,
who just
yeah.
fought
I
Raisa
didn't know
Lima.
that fight was happening, but I didn't know it was this weekend.
Yeah, the 20th. That's the guy that just fought Raisa Lima and lost by majority decision. It's the better Baez brother.
Yeah,
But yeah, I'm looking forward to that,
that's a
man.
good fight. That's a good fight. There's a lot of fights this weekend.
There was more.
well.
Lipinets is filling in for Broner.
So Lipinets was scheduled to fight this
Yeah,
weekend,
he
so he
was.
should
But it
be
was
in
like a lower
shape.
level fight.
So he should be in good shape.
Yeah, he is exactly. Yeah, I think Lipinets is gonna win. Actually, I'm picking
I think
Lipinets to win that fight.
Lipinets is going to win. I tweeted this morning. I said if he's in great shape, I didn't know if they pulled him, you know, just out of randomly. And I was like, you know, if he's been in the gym, then I think he should win this fight. I don't think Figueroa got it anymore, man.
That's a great thing PBC's done is how they've had a fighter lined up for a fighter pulling out of a fight for a lot of these events. Great idea, and it worked out really well because Lipinets Figueroa is an intriguing fight. It's gonna be interesting. I'm looking forward to that one, to be honest.
Yeah, I got Lipinets. I mean, even in defeat against Boots, I still like, you know, the durability. You know, I mean, that guy was taking a lot of punches from Boots, hard
Yeah, he
punches to
was.
the body from round after round after round. I think he beats Figueroa.
Me
I got
too.
him winning.
I'm not sure if he'll knock him out or not because Figueroa is durable himself, but he may. I wouldn't be surprised. Marianne G. had a good question. Says who we have in Hrgovic Zhang. That's on the undercard of AJ versus Usyk. I got Hrgovic knocking Zhang out early on. I think
Me
4
too.
rounds. Yeah, I'm pretty confident in that one.
Yeah, I think it's gonna happen within 6 or
6,
before the halfway point. I don't
something in
think he
that
makes
range.
it past the 6th round. I have Hrgovic winning. Zhang, he's not a bad boxer. Southpaw, really, really big, but that fight he's very slow. Hrgovic has just got all the better ability overall to me, and he's younger, he's fresher. And he's just gonna outwork him. Not only do I think he's a better boxer, but I think he's gonna outwork him.
Yeah, he will.
Zhang definitely has a puncher's chance. But outside of that, especially with that fight where he damn near had a heart attack. That fight where he was just
Is that
out.
Forrest? The Forrest fight, or is that a different one?
I think it was a forced fight. Yeah,
Yeah,
that
he
guy.
dropped him once in the first 3 rounds or 3 rounds, then ended up getting cooked and
Yeah, nah,
escaping with a draw. Most people thought he lost.
yeah, that performance was crazy. I mean, I never seen someone that burnt out. I thought they were gonna stop the fight because
He
of
almost got
how
stopped in the last couple seconds of the fight. It was crazy.
it was scary to watch. I never seen a guy the body language of someone that was just they can't fight anymore. They don't have anything
Yeah, it
left.
was weird. That was
So
weird.
I got Hrgovic. Even if he draws it out later, Hrgovic is gonna stop him at some point.
Hrgovic has been a guy that's been avoided by a lot. And I'm not saying they're necessarily scared of Hrgovic, but a lot of fighters have turned him down.
They
I
don't
really
want to do
thought
it.
Martin Bacoli would give him a shot. Thought
Yeah.
Hughie Fury might give him a shot. None of these guys really wanted
Yeah, once Michael Hunter passed on
Yeah,
it
that was
too.
a bad look, especially because Michael Hunter was, accused
He
of a lot
was
of
the
crazy
duck
stuff.
guy, I felt, at the heavyweight division. He was the
Yeah.
most duck guy, and then Hrgovic actually, dude, they were a list. It was 7 or 8
It was
fighters. I
crazy.
think we
It may have
counted.
been more, I think, Wave. I think it may have even been more
Even
than
Joe
that.
Parker.
Yeah, Parker turned him down too.
Yeah.
There was some guy from Australia. I think his name was McKean or Keen or something like that. There was some Australian guy who was undefeated too who also turned him down. A lot of guys turned Hrgovic down.
You know what it is? The money ain't gonna be right to fight that guy right now.
For the risk he's at, especially. But here's the thing: the winner of that fight I heard apparently was guaranteed the winner of AJ Usyk back then, or AJ Fury when the fight was in negotiation. That would have been worth it. That would have been worth it. Of course,
I don't know. I think Michael Hunter should have taken it. I do know that the Triller deal offered him a lot of money that he wasn't getting paid up to that point. And for the fighters that he did fight he's fought some pretty good fighters
for sure.
In his career. But haven't gotten paid much. I know the Triller amount or whatever. But I heard I think was it the Forrest fight where he didn't look good? They had a draw.
Yeah, that was a draw. He had he had a draw with Jerry Forrest.
Yeah,
that was very surprising.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't have a lot of time. He's not young, man. He was in the I think he was in a same Olympic team as Wilder. He's not
He was
young.
an Olympic team. I think it was the Wilder one as well. Yeah.
Yeah, he needs to get a fight now, right now.
You know who needs a fight badly? You know who needs a fight badly? Murat Gassiev, man. I really liked
Bro,
Gassiev.
I totally forgot about that guy. And I remember when he first came out and he looked huge.
He was an animal, man. That dude was I really liked Gassiev. I was even rooting for him against Usyk, which is insane. But I really liked Gassiev, man.
I think that loss changed him.
It definitely did. Because he didn't just lose. He got embarrassed, to be honest. I mean, he lost every round.
Yeah, but everybody was losing. Yeah, but that fight wasn't even competitive.
Yeah, he didn't even win a round.
Especially Usyk's been in a lot of fights, and that's the least memorable one. Even Krzysztof Glowacki
gave a better showing
than him.
Yeah, Glowacki won 2-3 rounds in that fight. I remember.
Yeah, no, that was a competitive fight. Hunter was competitive against Usyk. Gassiev was the worst one. That was one of the
crazy.
Worst
yeah, that's actually even Tony Bellew. I mean, yeah, he got knocked out.
Bellew did great against Usyk until he got
much better than I expected. I mean, I did pick Usyk by split, but that's because I thought they'd try to rob him because of
if that went to the cards, Usyk wasn't going to win the cards.
They weren't going to let him win, or he would have had to do a lot to get a close win.
Yeah, Bellew did very well against Usyk. Breedis obviously did. Hunter did as well.
Chisora.
Chisora did well against him.
AJ did okay. I mean, compared to Gassiev, AJ did very good also.
Yeah, I can't see anyone. I mean, I gave AJ 3 rounds.
Me too.
Yeah, and I watched it again recently, and I think one of the rounds was
Swing.
yeah, it could have gone either way, but I still even gave that round to Usyk again. It's just, AJ did well in those middle rounds.
That's when he had the most success. When he hit him with like that big right hand. Everyone remembers that right hand he hit Usyk with.
He needs to go to the body this time, but it's
For
easier
sure.
said than done.
Yeah, I said the same thing of Triple G in the third Canelo fight. The only thing that him and AJ can really change, because I do feel Triple G won both Canelo fights, but he's gonna have to really win them to get a decision. The only thing him and AJ can change to separate the performances from previously is to go to the body. Triple G didn't go to the body against Canelo much, and AJ barely went to the body against Usyk.
Yeah, I don't think Triple G is gonna win, but I don't think he's getting knocked out like people are saying.
I agree.
Yeah,
I have that view as well. I see Canelo on points as the most logical option. I see Triple G making it competitive. I see him winning maybe 3-4, maybe even 5 rounds, but he's father time, man. He's not 36, he's 40 now.
Yeah, he's still gonna do good though.
Yeah, of course.
He's still gonna do good. I don't think it's gonna be a complete blowout. I'm getting a lot of Triple G getting knocked out comments from that
I've
fight.
seen those too. I've been seeing those for a while too, even before Triple G fought like Zarameda and even before like 2020 and all that, I was seeing people say Canelo would knock Triple G out, which I never really understood because this guy never had Triple G in any serious trouble at all in the first 2 fights. But anything can change.
You never know. Triple G might end up being stronger after the new weight.
He definitely will be more hydrated. I've told people this. He'll definitely be more hydrated at 168.
But he's made 160 so easy for so many years now,
Yeah.
You just never know. You never know. But I don't think Canelo is gonna lose a fight though.
Yeah, it'd be weird if Canelo lost twice in a row.
If he loses again, oh.
It would be weird though, right? It doesn't seem like it'd make much sense. Like if you just look at boxing, like the history of boxing, a fighter like Canelo Alvarez, who's as high ranked, and the way he lost against Bivol, where he only lost on points.
He's in his prime right now.
Yeah, it wouldn't make much sense for Triple G to beat him, technically. Like logic tells me that Canelo wins that. All signs point to Canelo winning that fight. The only people truly believing Triple G wins that fight are probably people that are rooting for him like me. But even me, I'm like,
nah, he would have to knock Canelo out, man.
He would. And here's the thing. I do think Triple G can hurt Canelo. I just don't see him knocking him out. We saw him in the second fight. He was in those later rounds. Canelo, when he was slipping all those shots, he was hurt while slipping those shots.
I mean, you never know. Maybe Canelo could be overlooking him. I know he's coming off of a loss, and maybe that can motivate it because you look at all the comments, have all the interviews, you're seeing what people are saying. And now you want to fight a guy that you are tired of. You're tired of people saying that you lost both fights, or you robbed them in the first fight. Which I thought was a robbery. Based on the scorecards. The scorecards. I mean, based on what I saw, Triple G won clearly to me, but the scorecards was just so disrespectful.
But here's why they did it, Wave, and I've thought about this, and I think it's a very clear conclusion. The reason that Adelaide Bird was told to not just give it to Canelo, but to have it 118, 110, is the main goal of it was to not have Canelo winning because they could have just done that for 7-5 score, but to distract people from the draw. More people were talking about Adelaide Bird's scorecard than they were about the actual fight being a draw, and that's a very smart and crafty tactic.
I always say the scorecard. I always bring it to the scorecard. I do a lot. When I say robbery. When we get those wide scorecards or close fights, or it just like I just focus on the scorecard. Like this is what it is. But yes, you're right. The draw is softened. It was a softened up draw, because if it was a draw where the scorecards were even, like you just said,
everyone would just talk about the draw. No one would talk about those scorecards. Everyone would be like, how can they have scored this fight a draw? But now everyone's saying, oh, yeah, we disagree with the draw, but it's really the Adelaide Bird scorecard that we have an issue with, which kind of takes away from Triple G and Canelo's fight.
Yeah, it softens up the majority decision that Canelo lost of Mayweather,
Yeah.
because you had a you had a judge in there that saw it as a draw, which is crazy. It was not even like, what is this?
I think I gave Canelo 2 rounds, which is like 2 rounds more than the average person gave Canelo in that fight.
Dude, it's not. It wasn't competitive. It was a clear, like.
Wait, do you remember how you had that fight scored? Floyd and Canelo?
I think I might have gave Canelo 2 rounds,
Yeah,
maybe
2 rounds.
3.
Like maybe 1 round early in
Was
the
it
fight, 1
3?
like the 12th round maybe.
To 12th round, yeah. And I think, yeah.
One of the early rounds where he hit. One thing I'll say about that fight, I've never seen someone hit Floyd's arms more than Canelo hit his arms. You watch the highlights of that fight, it's the entire fight is
Maidana hit
Floyd's
him a
arms
lot.
getting lit up.
Maidana did hit him all over the place the first fight.
Yeah, it's true. I have a bold take. I actually thought Maidana won the first fight, which most people disagree with.
Let me tell you something about that fight. I watched the fight. I had a fight party, and I had the channel at the time. And what I did is I still had people in my house, so I went into my bedroom. By the way, I was totally drunk when I watched the fight because I had company. We were drinking, and I made a video, and I said, I can't believe Floyd didn't win that fight. Floyd didn't win. And I got so much backlash.
It's crazy
from that video, that this was the first video and probably like one of the very few of all of my years of that I just put on private because I was just getting tired of getting killed. And I was drunk, but I was very aware of what was going on. And I went back and watched the fight. I gave Maidana the first 5 clear.
Me too. I remember.
I think I might have scored another round after that, a draw. And I have it as a draw. I don't think Floyd won. I don't think Maidana did enough to win either. But for the people that think Maidana won the fight, I respect it because Maidana, the rounds that he won were pretty damn clear, as opposed to Floyd, where it was still competitive.
And here's the thing. Like, I respect if you had 7-5 Floyd, 7-5 Maidana, 6-6. I have no idea how so many people have it like 9-3 Floyd. How on earth did Floyd win any of those first 5 rounds?
No way. There's no way. There's no way that Floyd won any of the first 5 rounds. There's no way.
Either you give.
There was nothing there.
The best case scenario is you give Maidana the first 5 and Floyd the last 7. There's no other way you can give Floyd the fight. It's not possible.
Yeah, that's not. You can't give him 9 rounds. You can't give him 9 rounds.
Even 8 rounds.
The first 5 rounds are the clearest rounds I've ever seen.
They were pure dominance. Floyd was just getting ragdolled all over the place. I mean,
yeah, he's on the corner. Mind you, he's comfortable. He knows what he's doing, But at the end of the day, he wasn't doing anything. There was zero offense from him. He was doing a good job as a defender. All right. Yeah. But as far as like offensively, he didn't do anything those first 5 rounds. Once Maidana slowed down, that's when Floyd started to take over.
Exactly. Yeah, he went crazy those early rounds, and that's why I find it insane that people gave Floyd some of those early rounds. Mm-hmm. I actually was looking at a boxing scorecard website. I don't know if you heard of it. It's called Eye on the Ring. I used to use it a lot. I saw scorecards for Billy Joe Saunders and Chris Eubank, and someone had it reversed. Like they had Eubank winning early and Saunders coming on late. And someone replied, said, you got it reversed by accident. He's like, no, I didn't. I thought Eubank won the early rounds and Saunders won the later. That might be the worst scoring I've heard in my life.
The fight was clearly all Saunders the first half, all Eubank the second half. I mean, Saunders slowed down. Yeah. Eubank started going to his body and just roughing him up. I mean, you know what, man? Some people are just gonna see it the way they gotta see it, man. And I don't have the energy to react to everything that's being said to me. I just be like, all right, you know what? If that's the way you see it, that's the way you see it. I'm not gonna argue with you. If that's the way you see it.
Great way of looking at it, Wave. Yeah. So Wave, we've been on here for a bit, man, about 100 minutes. I've really enjoyed having you on here. We had some great discussions. Before I wrap this up, can you tell some people where they can find you on socials?
Definitely subscribe to my YouTube channel, Boxing Wave. All right. Subscribe to the channel. Also, you could catch me on Twitter or Instagram Boxing Wave at Boxing Wave 10. That's pretty much where you can find me. I don't do much on IG, but I definitely post a lot on Twitter now. I do. So definitely check me out on there, but definitely hit up the YouTube channel.
Well, it's great having you on. Thank you to everyone in the chat. Thank you to everyone who donated. I believe Punch Drunk and Iceman donated. Great having you on, man. Hope to do it again sometime soon. And have a good one, bro.
All right. It was a pleasure. Always. Later.
Of course. See you, man.